The first print here off Lisa's great data check is up 595 on the Dow. What a perfect moment to speak to Mr. Eisman. With Neuberger Berman, acclaimed in a movie of a few years ago, look for the new Eisman Hollywood property. I think it's a Memorial Day, Paul. You know, Memorial Day's a good opening.
Sure,
you know,
that's what I hear.
It's very good. Look for Bear Squeeze. You're going to see that Memorial Day 2025. Steve, is this just one big short cover? We got the wall of money out there. Lawrence McDonald has been brilliant on this. With the action yesterday, is it an indirect short cover going on?
That's too sophisticated for me. I mean, I find the whole incredible amount of energy that people spend on the Fed day more amusing than informative. You know, think about it for a second. How much ink was spilled about whether the Fed would lower 25 or 50? All right, so they lowered 50, and then what happened? The market had no reaction. Just went up and down. Nobody knew what to do. And today the market's up huge, but rates are higher. So, you know, you put it all together. I try not to spend too much time trying to figure it out. All I care about is the general direction of the Fed is lower. How much lower? I don't particularly care. I don't think that's particularly important. The more important question is, how's the economy? The economy has slowed, but the data seems to indicate that the economy is fine, and that's all that really matters.
So what, other than the, or I guess in the context of the economy, what are the drivers for kind of whether you're bullish or bearish? What's some of the big variables that you focus on?
So I've gotten thematic, more thematic in the last bunch of years, and I think that there are two great equity themes of our time, and we try and focus our portfolios as much as reasonable on those themes, and those are AI/tech and infrastructure. And I think those themes will last for years. There'll be variations. You know, on the infrastructure side, politics do matter, but the overall theme will continue.
Paul, let me interrupt with a data check here as the market surged. Dow up 566 points. On a percentage basis, the market lifts here at 933, greater than futures. NASDAQ up 2.3%. As Paul predicted, the VIX comes in 16.40.
On the AI trade, Steve, how do you suggest people play it? I think the first name people kind of jumped on was NVIDIA, for good reason, because they put up that big revenue print a couple of years ago. How else are you trying to play this?
So, I mean, the way we play it is the way most people are playing it. NVIDIA, some other chip companies, the very large companies with massive databases. You know, then the question becomes, you know, what apps and who's going to create them are going to work. And I think that is so early right now that it's really not worth talking about. You know, just as an example, the part of the business of Accenture that is doing extremely well is not the consulting side, which would do when companies are spending a lot of money on AI. It's the outsourcing side. And the reason why the outsourcing side is doing well is that most S&P companies do not have their data sufficiently in one place, structured appropriately to really even do anything with respect to AI. So it's very, very early in the AI story. The one longer-term theme that we've been thinking about, although it's so long-term, I don't know quite what to do with it yet, is I think there's a good argument to be made that we have seen hardware re-rate up and software somewhat de-rate. And I think it's possible that AI could cause that to continue, because it's possible that the cost of creating software because of AI is going to plummet. And if that's the case, some of the iconic software companies out there may not have moats around their businesses that are quite as high as they used to be.
Within the skill set that you've earned and at Neuberger Berman, do you people believe the CapEx expenditure of technology is being done intelligently and efficiently, or is there wasted money being squandered away on AI?
I mean, I'm sure both. It's, you know, we won't know the answer to that question for years. So I don't think it's worth trying to figure that out at this point.
So how else do you think? I mean, a lot of folks are concerned about this Mag 7, this concentration risk, just as a market concern. Do you have this market structure concern that so much of this market is weighted towards these Mag 7, or is that beyond kind of?
Well, I think one interesting aspect of that and I'll come to that, is that many active managers, probably more on the institutional side, underperform because their risk parameters don't allow them to overweight the Mag 7 because the Mag 7 is so big. And it's probably going to continue. I don't think we will really see a broadening out until we see apps come out so that some of the more middle companies can do that. But we're a ways away from that.
Do you have a favorite Mag 7? Is there one where you?
I don't want to talk about individual stocks. I'm just not going to do that.
All right.
My firm gets me into trouble.
The firm gets you into trouble. You don't get yourself into trouble.
Never.
Okay, I got it. On the infrastructure.
Nobody's listening.
On the infrastructure theme.
Yes.
Do I go out there and just buy like Cummins engines and?
Well, let me talk about that because politics are important.
Okay.
So I think that there are 4 mega infrastructure themes, and then there's a 5th. The 4 are onshoring. The second is, improvement of the grid.
Yep.
The third is everything having to do with actually building the data centers, and that there's overlap there with the grid. And then there's greenification, and then there's all the bills that Biden passed to shove money into all 4 boxes. Where the politics can become important is, I'll do 2 extreme cases. If Trump sweeps, greenifications are going to get de-emphasized. And if Harris sweeps, greenification will get re-emphasized. So that's important. So the politics here are important.
Steve Eisman with us, and we will continue here. Let me do a data check here with markets on the move. SPX Dow at records. Dow up 540 points to the solid 42,000 print on the Dow. 5,700 SPX up 86 points. NASDAQ 100 up 2.2% with Steve Eisman.
Steve, how concerned are you, if at all?
We're not on right now.
What's that?
On?
We're on, baby.
We're on.
We're on.
Oh, it's for radio. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, the red light. We make it easy. The red light. When the red light's
red light.
On, yes, that's for me.
I just learned something.
Exactly. All right, valuation. How concerned are you, if at all, about this market broadly?
I think I learned this lesson in the dot-com bust. So, when dot-com was rocking and rolling, everybody was yelling and screaming about valuation. But that didn't matter until there was a recession, and it turned out that a lot of these companies had actually fundamental problems. So I don't spend, generally speaking, I'm not going to invest in a company that sells at 1,000 PE. That's just not what I do. But we'll invest in some high PE stocks. I just don't feel like it's, as long as the economy is fine, it's more of an academic exercise than anything else.
So the economy, from what we're hearing from you, the economy really is underpinning almost everything the foundation, I guess, of how you view investments.
Correct.
Okay. How about on the fixed income side? What do we do there? I can sit in a 2-year treasury. I used to get 5%. I'm still getting 3.6%. That's not bad for, like no risk. Or do I go out there and take some credit risk, do you think?
Look, we do some corporate bond investing, but mostly what we do is equities.
Okay.
I don't have a strong view on fixed income right now, one way or the other. I really don't.
Do you have alternatives in your portfolio?
I don't have alternatives either.
So
I'm just a stock jockey.
Stock jockey.
A stock
the old-fashioned stock jockey.
And I always have been.
Okay, we got to talk banks here and financial with Steve Eisman. Here's a quote. So yeah, I met with this retail banker yesterday, and I'm supposed to be getting him to invest in our fund, but instead I start grilling him about our overdraft penalties and how his bank lets a customer write 10, 12 checks before they tell him they're overdrawn, and this creep is making billions off of screwing over people this way.
That sounds like a much younger version of me.
Yeah, it does. It's from the script of
a very angry young man.
A very angry young man from 2015. Can you buy New York big bank? Can you buy the future of Bank of America? Not individual stocks, but can you buy the big bank success of the future?
So let's talk about what the positives are. The positives are that the regulators did a very, very good job post Dodd-Frank, led by Vice Chair Daniel Tarullo, truly one of the unsung heroes of the financial system. The leverage in the banks is cut by more than half. Even within that leverage, they have been de-risked. So the financial system of the United States, as far as I'm concerned, is very, very safe, and I don't lose any sleep about it. And by the way, I sleep very well.
Right.
But do I think there's a great story to invest in some of the very large banks?
Right.
Not really. I just don't think there's a story there one way or the other.
Too important. I got to get this in. Lex in the FT today blistering about private equity and the ability not to cash out. Do you see potential problems within the illiquidity of private equity?
You know, you could spin any bad tale you want. There's just not enough data on what's in private equity to really know one way or the other.
You can't make that guess.
I can't make that judgment.
See that? He's just, his lawyers love him.
It's not his first go-round. It's not his first rodeo.
What do individuals stocks?
Oh, my lawyers love me. You know, one time, quick story, in the 90s, I was at Oppenheimer, and Oppenheimer got sued over something that I had written, and there was, it was discovery, and the lawyers called me and said, send us everything you have on this company that you wrote about, and I sent it to them, which was only the reports that I had written. And the lawyer called me and said, what about your notes? And I said, I don't have notes. I don't take notes. He goes, I love you.
Steve Eisman, thank you so much. We love you too. Greatly appreciate it. Mr. Eisman is with Neuberger Berman. Some perspective there, given most interesting times.